during the week, I was instructed to work on providing context. So I've really put some effort in. And during the week, I dyed my hair pink. And I was like, I want to talk about that on the podcast. But I was like, that's fucking boring. And then I was like, oh, maybe if I give it context, it'll engage the listeners. So to describe the pink hair, there's a family. Imagine you're living in state housing in New Zealand. There's a family there. There's a daughter called Sharon. She's got this colored pink hair. Sharon has a mother named Cheryl, and Cheryl
This is even weirder than the other ones, Todd.
Yeah, I know. But
this is I was thinking maybe it's brought it around somehow.
Yeah, no, you got to let me bring it around.
Come bring it around.
So Sharon has a baby. We don't know who the father is. She has a mother called Cheryl, and now you always see those three together.
Cheryl, Sharon, and what's the other one?
The baby.
Okay, what's the baby?
It's imagine it's like from the video, the giant baby.
Fat baby.
And Cheryl's the sort of mum that will kind of like knock on your door with Sharon and the baby in tow and just start screaming at you about some perceived
So you sat down and wrote all this today?
No, this is just off the cuff, but I've
You told me you'd written an intro.
No, I didn't say I'd written one. I just said I had one. So Cheryl will turn up at your door with Sharon and the baby in tow at some perceived slight against her daughter and start swearing at you and shit, and you're just like, shut the door, go back in. Anyway, another addition to the family, there's like the brother Warren, and Warren's kind of cool. Like, you'll kick it with him occasionally, and he has a car as well, so he's the only person your age with a car, and sometimes he'll take you to try and find weed because you don't have transport. There's another character in this. There's Mike.
Fuck? Come on, get to the point.
Okay. There's a point, trust me.
All right, just get to it.
Then there's Mike. And so Mike lives in that house as well with the family. But you don't know whether he's Cheryl's partner or Warren's friend. It's kind of hard to distinguish, but you suspect likely he is sleeping with Cheryl, but is also kind of buddy-buddy with Warren, and he's in the house too. Now, Warren and Mike, when Cheryl and Sharon and the baby come to your house swearing at you, Warren and Mike will mostly stay out of it, but they will ride or die for their family, but they'll be cool with you if you don't like really make a huge infraction against the family. And I guess the whole point of the thing is that Sharon would have her hair dyed the pink that my hair is dyed this week.
Whew.
Welcome back to How Not to Be an Asshole. I'm your host, Todd.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Just say I'm your host, Dominic.
It's just weird. It's just weird in just like a weird way. It's not just weird in a normal way. It's weird and just peculiar and a little bit upsetting.
It's okay to be peculiar.
Oh, look, you've upset Dan now. Look, he's just
Dan's fine.
He can't even look at you.
Dan's upset because you haven't introduced him, because I said...
All right, my name's Dominic. Dan's here. I don't know what Todd's doing or been taking, and I've lost control of him. He's moved across the Tasman.
Bloody...
Getting into some kind of weird performance art.
You're supposed to say bloody Dan's here.
Bloody Dan, fucking Dan, old fucking Dan. Dan motherfucking Moreberries. There he is.
Hey, we had a big week at How Not to Be an Asshole headquarters, which is all three of our houses. Thanks so much. Like I'm bad at being earnest and genuine, but
I felt like that performance art was reasonably earnest. There's definitely an earnest quality to that.
That's kind of what I was going for. So thank you. But we had a big week. Our guest Tom had a baby yesterday or today.
Did he?
Yeah, at home. So shout out to Tom and Whit. And
I didn't realise that.
No. Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations, Tom.
Yeah, amazing. But yeah, so huge response to that episode and heaps of sign-ups to the Patreon. We got 30 patrons now.
Do we? Fuck yeah.
30.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and so what
If
happened?
you had 30 people in your house, you'd be pissed off.
Oh fuck yeah!
Not
Don't
if they
all
pay.
come around. Yeah, don't all come around to the HQ. But what happened with that huge response is like immediately I was like, "Fuck! I wanna provide," because the patrons are
You want to
financially
provide for the
supporting us.
patrons.
Yeah, I want to give them
So
something.
if anyone
So
has a problem that needs sorting out, Todd will sort out one problem for each patron.
it's got to be in. If it's a physical solution, it's got to be in Mickleham,
Yeah.
Victoria.
But if it is, he'll strike anyone at least twice for $5 patrons and up.
Yeah,
And
it's
Dan
not
will
like
help any of you with your technical problems.
Yeah,
But he also might lose your hip hop album from his hard drive. You never know.
but the huge
One
signing
album.
up did get us to
You lost
talking.
my
And
album. No
I
one
didn't
talked
lose your
about
album.
that. You lost half of it.
What?
you lost my
Bullshit.
you lost my
I
one as
lost
well.
Todd's.
You lost Todd's. You lost half of Usual Suspects. You lost half of my album.
I didn't lose half of Usual
Yes, you did.
Suspects. They didn't
They
have
never.
an
They
album
never
for, like-
recovered from that.
They never had an album.
Anyway, let's continue. Yes, thank you to the
Bishop.
patrons.
Bishop wouldn't be the principal of school if
If Dan hadn't
Dan
lost that
hadn't-
album, Sliding Doors, the Butterfly Effect.
So, but what happened once we got
That's
all
right.
that
Todd
huge
got very
support-
excited.
Yeah, so excited, and we've come up with some like big ideas which you can't reveal now because then we might not follow through on them. But I feel like we're going to. But we have this big ambitious project that we've begun working on, and it could be months
Hopelessly
away.
unqualified for.
Yeah, it could be months away, but what it will be is fucking incredible, and it will also improve us as podcasters a lot as well. The
And as
exercise
humans.
of doing this, definitely as humans.
Dan's
might become
constantly improving as a human, growing
We
in
might be-
power.
We might become worse humans,
Yeah.
actually.
That's all right.
Um,
too.
But back to the usual intro stuff. Thank you for your support. Please like, subscribe, vote up.
Yeah, heaps of people rated the podcast, which is awesome.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Sick.
I saw
What
that.
platform can you do that on?
Apple. I think you can do it on all of them though. But yeah, all that stuff's cool, and we've gone up in the charts. We're number 175 in New Zealand now, up from
Hell
199. So it's not the only way is up. We could go down, but I feel like we're going strong. And with this amazing episode we just recorded, that sounded sarcastic.
Yeah.
It was actually a really amazing episode.
It was good. It was real fun. So last week also, because we wanted to immediately give you bonus content, and we wanted to do bonus episodes weekly where we answer questions or discuss topics suggested by our patrons.
How many questions did we
listeners.
get, Todd?
We got one question.
There's 30 of you now, so you need to step that up.
So,
Surely
but
we
we're
can
gonna
get 3 questions.
we're gonna give you an example of the magic we can weave if you send us a question. And let me begin with the question, shall I?
Yeah? I'm
It's
curious.
from Hannah. It's from our patron Hannah.
Sup, Hannah?
The first ever question. Kia ora, couple questions. What has Dan been up to in lockdown? Has he been flouting or reported any flouters? Also, thoughts on the rollout of government geo-tracking apps. Does privacy exist anymore anyway? Thanks for the podcast. I listen to one a day while I walk around my shit town and always learn something and have a cackle. Much, much appreciated. Hannah.
Well, I guess I can answer the first question for Dan.
Good.
He is using the fact that his partner is an essential worker as an excuse to go out and definitely flout the lockdown. I've personally reported Dan at least 3 times. I know Todd's gone there a couple of times. If you look on Dan's Insta story, it's just him out in the streets, sort of being mysterious and doing stuff.
I just report Dan. I have no idea where he is, but just report him
Constantly-
anyway.
Well, 90% of the time you're going to be right in reporting him.
Yeah, I tell my friend at the police station, I'm like, you got eyes on this guy? He's like, you gotta speak their language.
But as far as the
Also-
geo-tracking stuff, I feel like obviously it's problematic, and I think that it could set a dangerous precedent. It could be quite easy for us to all just embrace it. So I guess for the listeners, not that I'm super clued up on this, but from what I've read, for the listeners that don't know, is that some countries have implemented, I think South Korea's done it, where they can track people that have had COVID-19, and they can also use your data to see where those people were previously. And I guess the concern is that post COVID-19, they won't take that back. And so they'll be tracking us in ways which they can do now, but aren't supposed to be.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I feel like we've signed away so much of our privacy already. It's kind of like maybe the horse is out the door. But
Yo, the second part of the question kind of addresses that, right? And it's like, does privacy exist anymore? And to a large degree, it doesn't really. Like, do you guys get wish ads pop up on your Facebook feed?
do you know
Like,
the craziest one of those is I had a dream about my old job, Fatima's, and then I woke up in the morning and I had a paid ad for it on my phone.
What?
So I had a dream about my old job, right?
Oh, right.
And then I
yeah,
woke up in the
yeah.
morning and I've never seen a paid ad for it. It was just on my fucking phone. And I was like, am I going crazy? Like, was I looking at it before the thing? Obviously, those
So
two
you-
things aren't connected. But
So you might as well get the COVID tracking app then.
yeah, fuck.
If they're in your dreams,
Fuck, if I could track Dan.
it'd be sick, eh? I downloaded the Australian one today, and there's concerns about the privacy about the Australian one. Some other countries have done better versions to ensure more privacy, but the Australian government has also promised that if you wish to have any data deleted, they will. But we've heard that before from the likes of Facebook and whatnot. But I mean, at this moment, I think it could be a really useful tool for getting people moving again, getting people working. So perhaps it's a time to be a little less skeptical and kind of, I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. But I'm not afraid of the app. Like, that's the other
You're
thing
not afraid of
too.
the app.
Nah. Like,
You're so brave.
thank you. But I mean, like, they got nothing to track.
But it's
Like,
also, I'm sure that, like you say, I mean, everyone else is collecting your data anyway. Like, you have to get rid of your phone if you don't want to be tracked.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Throw it
Dan.
in the river.
See, the thing is, that I don't know why we're answering this because Dan actually knows about this kind of shit.
Does he?
You know-
Dan.
Well, Dan doesn't use Google because they're a bad company.
I do now.
Do you? You used to tell me off so much about using Gmail.
About using Chrome.
Yeah. You said don't do it. You're Firefox
Don't
all the
do it.
way.
Yep.
All right,
See-
should we start this fucking podcast anyway?
Hold on, a few things. Listeners, for bonus episodes, so you want more of that malingering nonsense, then send your questions in this week. Get them through the Patreon, they'll be prioritized. Otherwise, our email is there are no heroes, the numeral
Why
one.
don't we get a new email since that one's stupid?
Now's not the time to
All right.
discuss it. There are no heroes, numeral one at gmail.com or our Instagram,
DanWarby.com.
Facebook.
You can email
Facebook
Dan
page.
directly.
Couple of points before we get into tonight's podcast.
You're getting
Dom,
really
you have,
officious in your old age, you know that?
yeah, I have to. Dom, you have live poetry on Thursday night.
Oh, fuck yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah.
From my Facebook page, my Dominic Artist page, or from my Instagram, I'm going to be streaming, going to be writing poems on my typewriter, read some new poems. Last time was super fun, so you should come.
Yeah, join us. It's really cool. Well, join us. I'll be there as a spectator also. Couple of things to plug. Our good friend Christina, her non-for-profit Utify, who provide... Oh, you could speak to this better than I could,
Yes,
Dom.
it's under the Kindness Institute, and it's Atify. I work for them on the project coordinator and mentor, and we teach yoga, meditation, and art to kids who are having a hard time with anxiety, depression, like high stress caused by school and home life and stuff. And it's an amazing program. Todd's been part of it before, and we have lost 30% of our funding because of COVID-19. So we're doing a crowdfunder. So if you go to Give a Little and look for the Kindness Institute, you should be able to find that.
Yeah.
Can we
And
share the
another
link in
one-
this, Dan?
Sorry?
Can we? If I send you the link, can you post it in this somehow?
Yeah, in the
Yep.
description, yeah.
All right, so it'll be in the description.
Fuck, technology is amazing, eh? Another quick plug, although I think they might have cracked their goal already. Whammy Bar, good friends of ours.
Yeah, they're almost at 200%.
A real community space. And fuck, it's incredible. Like, I think their goal was $50,000. I don't think I talked about it the other week, but a bar in Melbourne that I hated that was real exploitative of artists and of, I don't know, culture in general. Tried to do a fundraiser for their bar, and it got taken down off a couple of days because no one was donating. But I saw the Laundry Bar one, and I saw it launched, and then I didn't check it for like a day and a half, and then I looked at it, and it was like up to $40-something
You mean
thousand
Whammy?
dollars. Oh yeah, sorry.
No,
Whammy.
it wasn't a day and a half. They hit their target in like 8 hours. It's the fastest one.
And yeah, and it goes to show you, if you really like provide a space for community and you're really part of it, what happens?
So yeah, if you
when
want to
you're
donate, you still
down
go
your life?
donate just because they hit their target. Because any money that they get is going to mean that both Whammy and Wine Cellar are going to be able to continue as spaces, as venues. Because Auckland would be fucked if those two close down. Because we just know where for people not
Yeah.
only to perform but to have workshops, to go and get drunk in a place which is not full of assholes. Because that's what Auckland specialises in. Hey Dan.
It's
Anyway,
the
let's
last,
start this fucking podcast.
It's the last bastion for
I'm really
scumbag
fucking stoned
artists.
and I'm just fucking rambling. I've had
All right.
a weed brownie, and
Well,
there's no booze in this house. We drank it all last night.
Oh damn. All right, let's go. Oh Dan, put some like hillbilly music behind my context thing.
Put a sound of it like a chicken screaming.
Yeah, chickens would be good.
Just Google chicken screaming. There's heaps of videos. I've done it before. All right, roll the music, Dan. Welcome back. A little bit older, a little bit uglier.
We couldn't get another producer, so Dan's back as well.
Look at this, Dan.
We can divulge all this now.
This is what Todd's been itching to get into.
I didn't necessarily like him, but I respected him.
Well, everyone needs jewelry.
He's a maniac.
Further to him crippled.
This is an audio podcast, Dom.
Sure. What do you think, Dan? All right. So today's guest is, how do you pronounce your last name?
Fuck, yeah, I'll do it. Today's guest is Kaya Sparke. She is a young politician, a food proprietor. Do you like the word proprietor as a title?
Yeah, that makes it sound fancy as.
Yeah, sick. Proprietor. And that's all I know at this stage.
I just said young go-getter.
Oh.
Fancy.
Would you say you're a go-getter?
For some things, but then for others, like, nah, not at all.
What things don't you go get?
Fuck, I don't know. I didn't get my degree.
That's all right, you're in good company.
Yeah.
There's not a degree between the four of us.
I never even started my degree, which is unfortunate.
Dan, did you do higher education?
No.
Did you finish high school?
Define finish.
Did you leave high school with qualifications?
No.
No, neither. Neither did you,
I
Todd.
started off really strong. I went to uni when I was 16, but then I didn't finish.
16.
Damn.
So you really are a go-getter.
Yeah, well,
I was just being
yeah.
facetious, but that's incredible.
So
Yeah,
what
well, I
did
hated
you...
high school so much that I was like, fuck, I don't want to be at high school anymore, but I wanted to go to uni. So I applied to go to uni early, and they were like, yep, come to uni.
Did you have to have particular, like, what do we call them in New Zealand, grades or whatever, to be able to do that?
I had like NCA level 2, so it's like sixth form. Like I'd passed that, and then yeah, I guess that was just enough.
Damn.
To go to uni. Was it
Yeah,
weird?
I-
Like, because you must be so much younger than everyone.
Yeah, I didn't tell everyone for ages, but then I went to this party, and everyone wanted to go to town. And I was like, I can't. But yeah, it was all good, and because I didn't think I was going to get in, so when I first I didn't apply for any of the halls or anything, and then I found out like a month before I had to move to Wellington, and so I was like in this like weird ass shitty ass flat in Berrenpore. It's like this it's terrible setup.
Damn.
It must be super frustrating because I was watching that video that you did when you were running for council, and they're sort of asking you, how can you run for council when you're only 23 years old?
Mm.
But really, I mean, if you went to university when you're 16, then you're actually like, you've actually got all this experience.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, I've been saying I was 25 since I was 14, so maybe that would make me like 35 now, so I'm actually like way old enough to be a politician.
For what?
Yeah.
For what purpose does a 14-year-old need to be 25? Aren't you just trying to scrape over the bar of adulthood so you can, like, I don't know, get beer and
Cigarettes.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just always thought like 25 seemed like just the best age to be, and now that I'm almost 25, I'm like, fuck, I'm just the same as I was when I was 14. But maybe
That's the sad truth about life, though. You just stay the fucking same, and just your body deteriorates.
What
Yeah.
is the best age? Dom and Dan, our older folk on the panel. What's the best age?
You're older than Dan, aren't you?
Yeah. That's what I was meaning. Like I was saying, like.
Oh, how old are you, Dan?
39.
Young buck. I don't know. I'm enjoying getting older. Like, and I think I've sort of got sick of all the things that you're not meant. You know what I mean? Like, you get sick of stuff as it sort of you age out of it anyway.
Yeah, but it's that feeling, right? Do you remember when you're getting to an age, I forget the particular age, maybe like 10, 11, 12, and you were like, and you, perhaps if you had an older sibling, this might have been more visceral, but you're like, because you watch them and they start getting clothes and stuff for their birthday, and you're like, nah, I just want to get toys forever. and you kind of have this feeling of impending doom. You're like, one day I'm going to want clothes, and that sucks. And
I remember the exact day that I got sick of playing with toys. I remember just,
The day.
being like,
Oh, dude.
I was sitting there playing with them, and I was like, I suddenly feel stupid. I don't want to do this anymore.
Says the guy with the terracotta pig whistle.
Yeah.
And brass pigs.
Oh.
For the listeners, I'm holding up a brass pig. I've actually got 2 of them. And when we work with, we do youth work, I tell the kids that if they can win them in a competition, and they're always suitably
What's the
unimpressed.
purpose of the brass pig? Is it just an ornament, or does it do something?
People just get me these little trinkets as presents. I don't know why, but I've got a shitload of them now.
Now you're only going to get more.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to send a trinket into the podcast,
Send it to Dan's house. What's your address, Dan? You got a security door, it's all right.
are you saying live on air that you don't appreciate trinkets?
I don't mind trinkets. I like some more than others, but I've got these dogs that are made out of lead, so it's actually really toxic. You can see this one here, and I'm always worried that I'm slowly poisoning myself with them.
So
Don't touch them.
it worked out well today, Kaya. I just realized like about an hour ago that you were a timely guest today, being that you're a food proprietor, and the big topic in New Zealand today is did you have McDonald's or did you not have McDonald's? So I guess the first question to get out of the way is, did you have McDonald's? I'm guessing not.
No, sadly, I didn't have McDonald's, but I did go to the supermarket, and there was no line at the supermarket because everyone was at McDonald's. So I was like still big time stoked that McDonald's was open, because it meant that I could get in and out of the supermarket real quick.
Yeah, nice. I'm guessing you can't open for business because your business requires a crowd.
No, we have found a way around that because capitalism, yay. So we're gonna do like a contactless like pickup service. So people are just gonna like order online and pick it up. So we're starting that tomorrow. No, on Thursday. Yeah. So I'm just like preparing myself to get back to work, because it's been like a whole month of doing nothing, and now I'm like, fuck, I have to go back to work again.
Yeah, back to the old world, eh? It's gonna be really odd. I've been light on work also. We should state your business is FTP Vegan Eats.
Yes, that's
It
up.
looks so good. It looks so delicious. Every time you post something, I was like, fuck.
Man.
And then when I went to Rotorua to do that gig, and then I didn't even get any, I was just so gutted. Like the whole way I was driving down, I was real hungry. I think I might have been stoned, and I was just like, man, I can't wait. And I
You
found
should
out that
just
you went
message
open.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you served any police out of the food truck?
Oh my god, we actually have this one police officer who comes he used to come every week to the night market that we were at, and he'd even come in his uniform. I got the best photo of him. I snuck out and took a photo of him getting his food right in front of the sign.
Oh, amazing.
So, but he came to your truck.
Yeah.
Do you think he's vegan?
Yeah, I reckon he must be. I reckon, like, I don't know, because he has to look past the FTP sign, so
Did he ask for
vegan goods?
he wanted
Heaps of
vegan
cops
donuts?
must sort of be ambiguous about the cops, the police force, though, right? As a entity.
Yeah, well, I always wonder, like, who knows what it means, because so many people come up and ask, and they'll be like, what does FTP stand for? And I'm like, oh, feed the people from the plant. And then they're like, oh, yeah. But, yeah. No, it was actually my mum who thought of the name, because when we were going to start the business, like, I don't know if you noticed, but like lots of vegan places, they're called real, I don't know, like girly, like flowery names.
Yeah.
And that just didn't represent the brand that we wanted to have. So we were like, we were trying to think of something else, and then my mum came up with that, and I was like, oh, that's the one, we got to have that.
Nice. Yeah,
I think when I was younger and being vegan and stuff, like vegan was like, it's like it was quite radical. Do you know what I mean? And it was really hard to get food, and most people that you met that were vegan were political. And now with it being real trendy and shit, it's like, what do they call themselves? Like plant-based, and people trying to take the politics out of veganism.
Yeah, I don't like the label.
Yeah, and it's like, nah, man, like, and I suppose it's good in a way because by proxy they are, it's good for the environment and obviously the animals, but
yeah,
I imagine most of those motherfuckers aren't going to be, they're going to be back eating meat in 5 years,
Well, that's what I always say. Like, I reckon people were like, I feel like I'm looking at you now, Todd, who like go back from being vegan. I feel like they weren't vegan in the first place, because I feel like there's just I don't know, for me anyway, I feel like there's something that like sort of just clicks. Like, it's not even like, it's not like that'd be like me just all of a sudden one day going, okay, I think I'm going to join the National Party now. Like, it's not, I don't know. It's like,
the thing is that Todd hates fish. Like he physically hates them. And
why?
that's why he eats them, so it's not really a dietary thing. It's more like a bigotry.
I guess now's as good a time as any to let everyone know that I've joined the Young Nats.
Fuck. You'll be lucky to get into Young Nats. Do you see that the
let me in?
The Young Act is trying to get all fucking do you see that shit that they're posting on Twitter and stuff?
Yeah, they try. I feel like they're just doing what David Seymour does. No, what? I don't know what you're talking about. I feel like they're just trying to be controversial.
Or maybe I misread the tweet, but I saw that they were posting that you're not a real libertarian if you're anti-trans rights.
Oh, yeah. Well, I feel like even though, like, ACT is terrible, there still is a bit more crossover with them, like, with left sort of stuff than there is with, like, National or something. Because there's, like, they still do, like, have some shit that's, like, I don't know.
We should set this up a little bit because we could go somewhere here. You're running, you're running for Rotorua Lakes Council as a Green candidate. Is that correct?
No, so that was last year.
Oh,
keep up, Todd.
Yeah.
What I see a post like a month ago or something.
I don't know. I'm running for the Rotorua electorate for the Green Party. So like in the general election.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and I'm running for the list. So for the Green Party.
Do you know the last politician we had on here ended up being Prime Minister?
I know. I said this to my mum. I was like, hey.
Yeah. Fucking here's hoping.
Yeah, if you're on
Jacinda actually sent us a
asshole.
signed letter thanking, well, she mainly thanked Dan, but afterwards.
A lot of people are saying that this is the where future world leaders come to get coronated. So
well, we're 175th in the New Zealand podcast charts, so look out.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're running.
Things happening here.
So as a member of the Green Party, do you on occasion get to fraternize with any of these young ACT or young Nats, or not that you'd want to, but I'm curious.
Nah, not really, because being based in such a great place as Rotorua, there's not really that bigger like groups for other parties sort of thing. So I mean, if you were like other people that I know that are in the Greens that are based in Auckland or Wellington or Dunedin, they definitely would, and especially like lots of campus stuff. They have like, I know that they've like worked together before on like presenting petitions and shit to the government, like getting cross-party consensus. So Yeah, but no, not personally.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in the WAPs. So,
Yeah. So who are you trying to dethrone? Who's the MP?
ooh, Todd McClay. I don't know if you guys know who he is. But
National?
yeah, he's like number 3 on the national list, and he's never even lived here. He's not even from here.
Really?
No.
So
yeah.
you're
And
gonna
he
use
just-
that against him?
Yeah, I'm so going to
Locals
use it
only.
against it. That's probably the thing I'm most excited about in this campaign is getting to argue with him.
Sick.
Hard.
Yeah.
Would you like to describe your campaign as a usurping of Tom, whatever his name is?
Yeah, the campaign to dethrone Todd McClay.
So
Yeah.
what's the process of becoming a Green Party MP?
Yeah, so the whole membership of the Green Party votes on who their candidates are, and then they're ranked from 1 to whatever. And then depending on what percentage of votes the Green Party itself gets at the general election, that's how many MPs you get. So if you're in the top 10 of the candidates, then you'll probably get into Parliament.
So you're where?
I don't know yet. We're still going through the process
Okay.
to find out. Yeah,
Exciting.
I might be.
Exciting.
So if there's a couple
Scary.
people... True, so if you're on 10, then you get to go to Parliament and...
Well,
swan
yeah,
around
it
in the
depends how
beehive.
many votes you get, but how many votes the party gets. But yeah, pretty much. If you're in that top 10, you're likely to be an
Yeah.
MP. So I mean, probably this time around, I'm not going to be an MP, but that's all good.
You might be, something could happen.
I guess, yeah, and people would have...
Get
I
Dan to
guess
set fire to a few houses and suddenly you're in the top 10.
I'm not...
Everyone might listen to this podcast and be like, "Wait,
There you go. That's those guys that got Jacinda in. But I don't know. Like, I'm not on the inside of the party, but from an outsider's perspective, I didn't imagine that Chloe Schwarbrick was gonna end up in Parliament. I have no real basis to put behind that, but I was just like, oh, and then, all of a sudden she was really making some noise and becoming quite prominent. I think really representing a group that didn't feel represented at all in politics, which is real powerful. So her ascension seemed quick.
Yeah. And like this time around, you can see, because we've got more young candidates than ever that are trying to run. And so she sort of like broke down the ceiling for more people to do it, because like that's what people are like, oh, you're just trying to be the next Chloe or whatever. And I'm like, nah, but like before she did it, you didn't think you could be I would have never thought you could be a politician. I wouldn't have even known what the process was to become a politician, if you know what I mean. And then when she did it, it was like, oh, what the fuck? Normal people can just be politicians. And that's how it should be. It should be normal people. It shouldn't be all these rich elite that are just like paid their way in, to get these positions of power. It should be actually just random people that we know that are going to make good decisions.
Yeah.
I love with her as well, and I think a lot of the Green MPs are like that, where they're just themselves. Like, you see Chloe out or wherever, and she's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, she doesn't have that sort of politician kind of facade.
She doesn't look or sound like a politician. That's what's like the best thing. So good.
Yeah, I think I had a conversation with her, I guess it was just before I left New Zealand, and I probably can't talk about it because it's private conversation, but it was about her
Did you
motivation.
bring it up on the podcast for them, mate?
Yeah, good question. But it was about her motivations for getting into politics, and her motivations for being there ensured that she could be and remain herself.
Yep.
So
Yeah, definitely.
if you actually are in politics because of the principles and values you hold, then you don't have to do the whole facade game. You can be you and...
No, hard out. And like I've always said that I think if you have lived experience of some of the issues that you're fighting for, then like you feel it so innately. Like for me, like just like having like experience of like poverty and like knowing people with addiction and stuff like that, you're not ever going to look at it from a lens of like, oh, we should maybe do this. Like you have an actual true understanding of it, which is, I feel like, what we need more of.
Yeah.
Hard out,
because the major supposedly leftist representation we see is detached from those realities, right? Therefore, they're not invested the way they need to be, and they don't really have skin in the game like people who are familiar with those things. Like, I think it's so important and something that's like severely lacking. Like,
And I think we talked about in the podcast before, but like the idea that you go to university, you study politics at university, which if anyone, like I did one politics paper, and it was just like insane. Like what they were saying was centralist, and like some of the
Yeah.
people that were lecturing were so extreme right. It was just like nuts, and everyone was like, and the whole thing was like how the UN was the sort of like, this sort of like this amazing institution that is keeping the world together, and well, not sort of really acknowledging that it's the same fucking 5 countries basically controlling.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, and just think that all those people that become politicians come through that system, and then they get spat out of that into the young whatevers, and then
Yeah.
into Parliament, and it's like, of course
Well,
they're
if
all
you
going to be the same
actually
person.
think about what like we want politicians to do, like I feel like we've lost it. Like that's why I kind of feel like being a politician, that sounds shit to me. Like I feel kind of embarrassed when people are like, oh, you're running a campaign to be a politician. Like that seems just in like the life that I've lived, that's like not a good thing to be a politician.
that
But
might be hard to explain to some friends back in the hood, eh?
yeah, it's hard out. And because we see it as like they're meant to be making decisions for us and to make people's lives better and make the world work better and all of that. So if all you're coming off is a university degree that's taught you something in theory, how in the hell are you ever going to make decisions? Like that doesn't make sense to me. That's, you actually have to have experience in that to be able to make good decisions. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, hard out.
I've seen like a lot of. I was actually thinking about this a lot this week, but I've seen a few people who I know to be big time Karens, like doing like joking on Karens on the internet, and I'm like, I've seen you Karen so hard, and but that kind of like that kind of moves up to our politics as well, whereas the people who are supposed to represent the working class, the poor, they don't actually know us. Like,
Nah.
and
Well,
They
because
don't
you
know
have
it
two
at
types
all.
of people, right? You have those people like the fucking Paula Bennett's, and those kind of people which, like got such a leg up from the welfare state and has so much help, becomes successful and kicks the fucking ladder out. Or you have, like people that outwardly hate the poor, like just so viscerally that, they can't even put a nice face on it. It's just like, no, we're not,
Yeah.
here's your $25. I'm going to tax that too.
Yeah, well, this is something that I've been thinking about in lockdown, because like how they've put all of the homeless people into motels, and that's because it's like it affects their safety, right? So now it's
Yeah.
good for them to be off the streets because it affected their safety. Wonder what's going to happen when we come out of lockdown. Like I honestly wouldn't be surprised if everyone just got kicked out back to the streets, because
totally.
it no longer matters to me whether or not you have a house, which is like that's the exact thing, that it's like it's all this individualized, what's best for me. I don't really care about the many.
Do you have much hope that New Zealand could stop being such a weird conservative kind of country?
Yeah, I think it's so hard. I feel like I'm a bit of an optimist, so I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, like, and I'm always like, yeah, we could have like a peaceful revolution, we'll get rid of the system, but we don't have to kill anyone. But I don't know, it's just it's going to take time, and it's just going to take lots of people to do hard money, like trying to get there. But I reckon we could. Yeah.
living where you live, Rotorua, I reckon, is probably not dissimilar from Taranaki, right?
Nah, yeah.
Yeah.
My sister lives in
Yeah.
Plymouth, so
Yeah.
well, she actually lives in Stratford.
Oh shit! I was
Yeah.
out those ways just before I came back to Oz.
Is that where Start was?
Yeah, right, real close to Stratford.
Oh,
Man.
that's the where we went to the supermarket, eh?
Yeah, man, Stratford's a miserable place. But what was my point? Oh yeah, so like those places, for all their beauty and being your home and all the amazing stuff about them, from a political viewpoint, they're really dismaying, right? those
Yeah, big time.
those cities
Yeah.
of that size in New Zealand that are real like vote blue.
Yeah, like so strongly blue, and it's the same like with our council. Like, well, actually, we got a better council last year, but before that, it's just so many conservative people, and it goes to show who's voting, if you know what I mean,
Yeah,
who's having their
exactly.
say. Because if you actually looked at, this is what I was saying, if you actually looked at the demographic of Rotorua or Taranaki, it wouldn't be people who would be voting blue, but people are disenfranchised. They don't want to vote, and they see all these people that just talking shit and don't look like them or sound like them or anything. Of course, they don't want to be engaged and vote. So, yeah, it's a hard one because it's like, yeah, you have those hard out like blue like regions and stuff, but it's actually like it's not representative at all of the people who live there.
Yeah. So then is part of the solution to engage the people who aren't voting, so the young, the poor, the working class, is a big part of engaging them seeing themselves like physically represented in politics, do you think?
Yeah, I reckon. I think that, and what it also does, like kind of what I was talking about with Chloe, is that it makes you realize that that is your space. Like you can be involved and have your say, because at the moment, lots of people feel like politics is not their place to be, and that they're not allowed there. They're not allowed to have their say, and what they have to say doesn't matter. So having people that look and sound like them and come from where they come from shows them that that's not true, if you know what I mean. Because it's not, the whole point of politics is for you to have a voice there. So
Yeah.
Totally. But it's not like those people like when the wealthy get in, it's not like they don't look out for their interests, you know what I mean? And the reason why people are voting for them because they look like them, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole fact that like ACT gets voted in every fucking time in Epsom is just show, like, because people always like to say, oh, there's no class in New Zealand, and it's like, motherfucker, like these rich people are voting for these like
just because the other party that they like said so, like it's not even, I bet they don't even like David Seymour. They're just like,
no one likes David Seymour.
Nash fucking likes David Seymour.
Actually,
so
I don't know if I can tell that story.
Tell the story and we'll figure
I can't.
We'll figure if we
but
edit it later.
Oh no, I can't. But when Christina comes on, we'll get her because it involves her.
Okay. Don't worry.
Really good story.
Don't worry.
Oh,
listeners,
Christina
she'll
also
be
told me
on
to tell you, Todd, that she listened to the podcast with Kara, and she said that she didn't like the fact that I said she asked too many questions, but the fact that you said she was charming, she said she'll let it slide this time.
Okay, I pulled it back very quickly. Speaking about politicians and representation, I want to take a moment to have a fucking gripe. But
It's not like you, Todd.
and this plays into what we're talking about.
Is this a segment, Todd's gripes?
But it ties into what we're talking about as well, because it's about accountability from our politicians. And so when they had the vote recently on abortion law reform, I went through the list of who'd voted and what way they'd voted. And of course, the MP for New Plymouth, Jonathan Young, National, have voted against abortion law reform. And I was like, okay, that's my MP. So I'm going to contact him and ask him, I just had some simple questions for him. Do you believe, a woman doesn't have, right to choose what is good for her and her body, blah, blah, blah. And so sent a message, no response. I tried several channels, several avenues, and just got nothing. I was like, oh yeah, of course this prick doesn't think he has to fucking answer to his constituency. Like,
you should do it in a public forum, like tag him in something.
Well, that's what I'm doing now, but we need a bigger audience.
I feel like that's so typical though. I actually had a similar experience. I've been I don't know if you guys have seen that Arms Down campaign. It's like I don't know, the People Against Prisons Aotearoa people organised it, and so it's like trying to stop the armed police trials in Auckland.
Oh yeah.
And so I like joined this call, and we were talking about ringing our MPs and ringing the police headquarters and stuff, like saying like, I'm really opposed to this. We can't carry it on, blah blah blah. And so I rang my MP's office here, and I got like a receptionist, and so I told her, blah blah blah, like I want you to make sure this is noted down and like sent to Todd and stuff. And then she was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay. So just to make sure that you've got everything that I've said, can you read back to me what you've written down? Nothing. Like she was like, just fucking hadn't written anything down. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna like follow up with the email. It's like they're not even gonna do anything anyway. But that's such a problem when these people are meant to be like who you go to have your concerns or whatever heard, and if they don't agree with it or it's not something that's of a benefit to them, then they're just it's just off the cards. They're not going to talk about it.
You bring up something that I forgot to talk about last week too, which was the young man or the man shot dead by police. And something, if you have paid attention to any articles or any of the news stories when they're published about events like this, you'll notice a pattern in them. And it's the same with the teenagers who get chased to their deaths by police. There'll be a few things in the news story from the police account of events that line up the exact same way every single time. And if there's ever any eyewitness statement in the news stories, it's likely to contradict the police version of events. So they just run they have like a stock answer or response.
Yeah, template.
They have a template for deaths that occur at the hands of police, and they run them out again and again, and people just eat it up because they have a fucking... What is it? We're just fucking... People just eat up...
An agenda.
Yeah. And people were just like, oh, yeah, the police. That's our mates. Like...
But I think
we trust them.
I know we've talked about this before, Todd, but I think the first time the police beat the shit out of you or fucking, kick in your door or do, enact violence upon you, it is still a shock even when you grow up. And, I grew up in a household where my father's been arrested and everyone hated the police outwardly in my community, but it was still a shock. And to realize how powerless you are and how much power they have over you and you cannot do a fucking thing. I think that a lot of people probably know that in the back of their mind, but they just want to, and
I think a lot of people don't have experience with it. Like they hear about like police bias and police racism and violence and all of that, but if you've never seen it or like had someone that's really close to you experience it, then I think people they don't like connect with it or like they don't feel really strongly about it. So which is why I feel like people find it really hard to understand why there's such a huge mistrust of the police and why there's so much such a hate towards the police. But it's like a colonial system anyway, and it's just like so racist and so violent. And
I've
doesn't even get me started.
I've lost count of the amount of times I've had this conversation where people are like, oh, what, so you wouldn't call the police? And you're like, nah, never. And then they play the what if game. And it's like, no, I never fucking call them for anything. And I'm just like, how come? It's like, because I've never seen them help anyone or do anything good.
That's another thing that's terrifying when you realize, though, because, people say, oh, but what if someone was getting murdered or someone's trying to get into your house? And I'm like, well, I've had people trying to get into my house and I've called the cops and they didn't fucking turn up. So it's like, you're better off calling your mate. Like, and again, I think people don't want to process that.
Yeah. You're much better off. If you're poor or brown, any sort of minority, if you're better off to rely on a community of people that you're tight with to protect you and sort out problems that, I don't know, rich, middle-class white people would take to the police.
Well, and it depends on what you look like, right? Like that was like that guy that you're talking about that just got killed in South Auckland or wherever it was. Like, so they killed him, but the guy who murdered all of those people in Christchurch, they could apprehend him with no worries.
When someone pointed that out online, I was just like,
it's very
so damning.
It's very stark. And so I think the same week the man was murdered. Did you guys see the video of the cops in Australia hitting that.
Yeah, I saw you shared it. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the one where they like ran him over.
Yes. So there's this guy.
Yeah,
You can just like the second you see the video footage, you know that he is suffering from some
from mental illness.
yeah,
Yeah,
severely. And they're like hitting him with a car. And then when they get him to the ground, the
yeah,
cop like throws in some punches. And it like it brought back a lot of shit for me. But so as a young person being like bullied by police, and I was no angel. I was out there doing some shit that warranted the attention of police. But they were they were fucking pricks, right? And when I didn't live there for a long time, when I went back, because when I saw that video, I was just like, you fucking cowards. Like,
yeah.
like I've had knives pulled on me. I'm okay. And I wasn't with like 10 guys with fucking stab-proof vests
Yeah,
on
there's
and
like
shit.
how many of them standing around? Like,
Yeah.
why doesn't someone tackle him?
Yeah,
Like, you're surrounding him in
Yeah.
a circle. I just don't
Yeah.
understand.
But they foster a cowardly culture, and it reminded me of when I went back to New Plymouth as an adult, and a lot of the police that had fucking like been pricks to me as a young person and bullied me and done all sorts of shit. When I went back as an adult with agency over my person and like knew who I was, I walked down the street and see one, and they like couldn't look me in the face. They'd look down at the ground, and it was just such a huge turnaround from our relationship when I was a kid. And I just, in an instant, when it started happening a few times back in New Plymouth, I was like, oh, fuck. They're just fucking bullies. They're cowards. Like,
Yeah.
now that I'm a man and, like, not afraid of them, they, like, can't interact with me because their only relationship they know how to have is an oppressive one.
Have you noticed
Yeah.
as an adult how young the cops are? I remember when I was at a protest a while ago, and there was all these cops there, and I was just like, they're all so fucking young, and
If they're real young, you got to squeeze their cheek and say, hey, buddy.
Little baby.
Hey.
But I think a big problem, and not to defend the cops in any way, but I think a big problem is the training that they get. Like I was
Yeah.
really surprised that they get fuck all martial arts training, so they don't actually know how to handle themselves. So they're liable to overreact.
Yeah.
In violence, and then also
And they get zero de-escalation training. They don't
Yeah.
even know how
How
to like
crazy is
settle
that?
something down. Their only option is to be violent because they're not even taught how to, like calm the situation down with words.
Isn't that weird? So, man, like, so working in residential care with young people who are involved in youth justice, you get taught. So, you get taught de-escalation before you get taught, and like de-escalation is prioritized over like restraining someone. And like in my experience as a youth worker, I've had to restrain some young people, but not like textbook restraint. Like it's, if you're familiar with violence, then you just grab someone and like, do your best to mitigate risk. But so and in those positions, working with young people that way, you're there with them for days on end, sometimes hours on end. And so you see the worst, like you see them at their most unstable, their most vulnerable. And the police, I guess, obviously they get called to places that are often dealing with people in that state, they're most vulnerable, most unstable. But it just requires the same shit. Like it doesn't need guns and hitting people with cars and just crazy shit. It's so wild.
Punching them in the head when they're already on the ground.
Yeah. Fucking.
I mean, so Kaya, but what, like, because me and Todd have talked about this a few times, but like, have you got any idea about what could be an alternative or what would need to be implemented in the police force to maybe have it be a more positive thing in society?
Well, I feel like that's really hard coming from the place we're at now because it's really hard to get rid of like the sort of distrust that people already have, which is like, it's obvious why. But I think like if you think about the sort of training that police go through, like it's not even a year, right? It's something ridiculous. Like I think it's like 3 months. But like, wouldn't you expect the police to be like one of the most well-trained, like gone through, they should like have to have like degrees in psychology and shit. The sort of people that they have to deal with to have an understanding of what they might be going through or the best way to react to someone who's dealing with this, they just, they're sort of trained up just to be like strong and an opposing force. They're not actually trained to be like peacemakers, which is what they're like supposed to be. So that would be a start, but getting rid of like a history's worth of violence and oppression and racism, you can't really get rid of that. That's just going to take time for them to prove themselves better.
Yeah. But, you might get elected and then suddenly you'll be, you might actually be in a position where you could implement some change.
Well, here's hoping. That's what I'm trying to do.
Amazing.
One thing you're talking about in your interview was a circular economy. Could you explain what that is?
So it's like now, I guess we live in a linear economy. So we start off with something and then at the end of its life cycle, it's just like thrown in the trash or it's of no use anymore. And so like a circular economy is like everything keeps going round. So we don't have waste and, it's good for the environment. It's a sustainable, basically that would be the simplest description of it.
Would that be like how Dan has multiple uses for gasoline, accelerants?
Yeah, but gasoline, when you burn it up, it goes, bad fumes up into the
You hear
atmosphere.
that, Dan?
Dan's actually a hybrid driver, so.
There we go. Well, that's good.
You were an early adopter of the hybrid, weren't you, Dan?
Yep.
Hey, Dan.
Yo.
I fucking hate a cyclist, but I love a hybrid driver, so. Here's to you.
Has anyone ever tried to get in your car like thinking it's an Uber, Dan?
Always. Every time I go out on the weekend, someone waves me down and I'll drive past and I'll be like, what the fuck?
And like myth.
Do you have to have your doors locked so people can't just get in?
I don't. My girlfriend always makes me lock doors when I get in the car.
Did she grow up in New Zealand?
Nah, she's from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Well, that'd be why.
People that grow up in Southeast Asia lock doors on cars and houses and yeah.
Well, Philippines sounds like it's crazy, like the violence over there.
Yeah, from what she said, shit like that happens all the time.
Like carjackings and shit.
Yeah, hard out.
I was going to carjack your Uber, Dan.
Hey, speaking of
You just cut out real bad.
Yeah.
For me.
Speaking of Philippines.
Yeah.
Oh, I just said
Speaking
no
of
one's going to
Philippines
carjack your Uber. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this in there, Todd. No one's going to carjack your Uber. All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
speaking of Philippines,
can you edit that
fucking hell.
So that flows smoothly. All right, Todd, come on. What are you going to say?
Speaking of the Philippines and their colonizers, the Spaniards. Does anyone know anything? Did you guys see that the Spanish are going to implement a UBI permanently?
Yeah, my best friend lives in Spain.
Yeah.
And she just got married there, and they've been like handling it real well, but I guess they got hit so badly.
Really
they
bad.
kind of have to. Yeah.
But they got a socialist government there, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, the leader's socialist.
There's also been some quite we don't see it on the news, but my mate's been sending me before this virus, there have been like some real crazy protests and shit about the government and like the police force and stuff. So I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a bad socialist government.
Yeah, I know fuck all about Spain, and I went there and I was in Basque. And I jumped out the bus a bit delirious, and saw the promoter of the show, and I was like, "Fuck!" It was my first time going there, and I was like, "Man, I'm so excited to be in Spain." And he just real grimly stared at me. He's like, "You're not in Spain. You're in Basque." I was like, "Ah." I was like, "Oh shit, what's that?"
Yeah, I did the same thing with Catalonia.
Yeah.
Made the same mistake and upset lots of people. But you just don't hear about that history, eh?
No.
Just because I'm an ignoramus. I guess that's the problem with not finishing high school. Maybe they would have taught us.
Did you guys do any follow-up on the giant babies from last week?
Well, I saw that the mum came out and she was upset about people making fun of the baby.
Yeah, predictably, the mother came out and was like, "Stop making fun of my baby."
And also, the baby's 3, so it's like, why the fuck are you dressing?
Oh yeah, I was so waiting to know how old it was because I was like, "Fuck, what? This baby, bro? It could have been any age.
It could have been 25.
Yeah,
I think
Really could have been.
the mother of that child needs a reality check, and if she doesn't want people to make fun of her monstrosity of a child, she shouldn't be parading it about on the internet with that weird.
Yeah.
I feel like that could come and bite you in the
Nice.
ass when you get elected, Kaya. Making fun of babies.
Hey,
We'll
Yeah.
just play that soundbite over and over again.
What?
You were talking about
Hey, look,
social.
I stand by everything I say.
Good.
You, as well, in that same interview, you were talking about social housing.
Yeah.
Like, how do you
Social
imagine that
housing.
could look? Just say again, you get elected. You've got, the Greens get in with a decent percentage, and you have a bit of say. Like, what kind of model do you?
Well, I think that this is the real important thing. I think that it needs to be in the hands of local councils, because they're the ones who know better than the central government just rolling out something like, oh, this is what every town and city in New Zealand needs, because we don't know. You don't know unless you live there. But basically if you have a look overseas, especially in the Netherlands and shit, they have such good social housing, just big apartment blocks that are nice though. When you think about apartment blocks in New Zealand, you think about shitty, no room, terrible apartments. So that. So yeah, and having it all sustainable. So the buildings are built to last, so they don't, have to be repaired all of the time, and it's all on solar energy, and you've got, mean gardens, so everyone can grow their own veggies and stuff like that. And basically, you rent it off the government at a percentage of your income. So no matter what you're getting paid, your rent is going to be I think it's 20% is what they do it at. So 20% of your income goes on your rent. So no matter where you are at in life, if you move up or you move down, you lose your job, whatever, you're still going to be able to afford your rent. And then you're also allowed to live in it like a home. So you're allowed to paint, and you're allowed to put shit up on the walls and have pets and stuff like that. So then that
Dignity,
would set people up. Yeah, I know, all these things that we're so seem so shocking, but it's isn't that just living a normal life?
You telling me this must be how Americans feel when people tell them about healthcare in other countries? Because I'm just what? That sounds ridiculous. It's not possible.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. It sounds impossible, right? But that's what I've heard a lot about in this pandemic, that things that they've said before, oh, we can't do it, we can't afford to do that. Clearly we can.
Yeah.
It's proved it, with this wage subsidy, giving everyone the wage subsidy and putting up all of our homeless, into motels, even though motels aren't a good home anyway. But if we wanted to, we could make the changes. It's just people this is the problem with Labour, is that they're too scared of alienating voters that aren't even theirs. It would be so interesting to see if they were actually radically left, what would happen. I reckon that people would love it. They'd get in way more, but they're pandering to these people who vote National anyway. When they didn't do the capital gains tax, I'm who are you getting at here? Because those people did not vote for you.
I've never talked to a Labour supporter who's said to me, I like Labour, but I wish they'd shift a little more to the right. Never.
Yeah.
No, that capital gains thing is heartbreaking.
It really was. That was, I think, the thing that set me over the edge and made me real mad. I was this government, they've still got potential. They still could do some really good things, but the fact that she said she'd never do it while she was leader, that was
bizarre. What do you think happened? There must be some deal behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, I feel Winston must have just been I'm going to pull out of your government if you don't say this.
Yeah, it's really hard to know because anything that comes up, and there's been a few things drilling permits, the capital gains tax, fucking police getting armed under a Labour government. And then I don't know what to think. I was is it because Winston's in there, or is this a cover?
Yeah, was he the scapegoat?
Yeah.
No, man, but Labour historically has always been like that, at least in our lifetime, in the last 30 years or so. They've always, like everyone always, I mean, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but how everyone always holds Helen Clark up as this sort of martyr, but then you look at the policies that she enacted in her government, and
all you have to say is the seabed in foreshore and no deal.
Or the Udawara raids, and also the one that is really shocking that no one seems to remember is that they changed the definition of terrorism to be in line with the US.
Right.
And so you can be detained, and I'm pretty sure that no one's sort of taken this back, so you can be detained for 72 hours in this country without cause or legal representation. Like, she brought that in.
Was that during Bush/Iraq, etc.?
Yeah, so what they did was, I mean, I could be fucking this up, but I'm pretty sure this is right. I have had a weed brownie. But they brought it in line with the UN, and so the UN is obviously, like, the US is a massive power there, and they veto anything they don't like. So basically it meant that we shifted in line to the US's definition of terrorism, and then after that happened, they set up that terrorist squad, and then quite soon after that, they went and did the Udawara raids and those raids down in Wellington with those peace activists and stuff, and basically destroyed a lot of people's lives just to be like, well, we got these guys and they're trained up with their
terrorism,
fancy balaclavas. Let's get them out there into the community. And
my friends would have been real excited to know Terror Squad was coming to New Zealand, but especially at that time.
You're what?
My friends would have been real excited to know that the Terror Squad was coming to New Zealand. Fat Joe, Big Pun.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Sorry, it went over my head. Do you know, I saw Fat Joe when I was in New York.
I remember you saying, but he's not that fat anymore, is he? Well,
no, he's not that fat, and he just did lean back like 3 times in a row, and then like got off the stage.
Oh, you saw him play a show?
Yeah, I was. We went to this like street festival thing in Brooklyn, and then there was just some dude rapping, and he's like, "I'm gonna bring up Fat Joe now," and everyone just went crazy. And I was like, and this is not that long ago. This is like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like, people still like Fat Joe?
I think he's an iconic New York figure, right? Like,
that's what you really realize there.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the chick, she did like a live with him the other day.
Oh, really?
And she and she did her top 5 favorite rappers.
Oh, shit.
What do you think
But I
about her?
couldn't respect her because she didn't choose Tupac or Andre 3000.
Who did she have?
She had B Smalls.
Yeah.
Like, New York, yeah. I can't remember. It was, I think, Big Pun, and I can't remember who else. But I was like, you just I really liked you before this.
Oh, damn it! I bet her live with Fat Joe wasn't as good as Cardi B and Bernie Sanders one.
Oh no way!
They did a live together.
Yeah, have you not seen it, Dom?
Nah.
It's amazing.
Oh, you have to watch it.
So the video opens, and man, she's out of this planet, like, character-wise. And I was like, how's Bernie going to respond to this? And he was so comfortable and, like, at home, like, in conversation with her. Their chemistry is so weird to witness.
Will you imagine the amount of radical fucking out the gate people he's been around his whole... I mean, imagine the people on the radical left that you would have met in the 70s and 80s in the States.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'll go check it out. She's hilarious, man.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah, she's fucking
Do you follow
crazy,
Rico Nasty on Instagram?
No.
She doesn't seem to be handling isolation very well. I'm a bit worried about
Oh,
her.
really? I don't
Just,
follow
you know when
her.
you can tell someone just wants attention? I love her music, man.
Music's-
Such good driving music.
Her music's so good.
Yeah.
So tough.
Well, I'm gonna have to follow her. I've been following Doja Cat on Instagram. She's pretty funny.
Who's that?
Doja Cat.
I know who she is, but
Yeah.
I don't follow many. I stopped following. I kind of made a rule of not following rappers on Instagram because mostly disappointing. But Rico Nasty's music is like the embodiment of calling your food truck FTP, right?
Oh yeah, that's a big compliment.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So I'm just looking at my list of questions.
Have you seen The Wire, Kaya? Or are you too young?
I don't know if I'm too young or just no. I haven't seen The Wire. Should I have?
Yeah, well, Dom and I are both rewatching it. Where are you up to, Dom?
I'm just starting season 4 tonight.
I'm on season 3, and I just want to say, rest in peace, Frank Sobotka, a good union man.
It's sad when he dies. No, you should definitely check it out, Kaya. And the listeners that haven't seen it, like I think it's dated really well. Like the fashion and stuff obviously is, is quite dated. But just like, I don't know, you watch a lot of stuff now from like 14 years ago, and politically it's quite, it hasn't aged well. But this is just, it's pretty, it still stands up, and it's just so well written, eh? Like,
Yeah.
because I expected not to enjoy it as much this time. I was just like, fuck.
Same. It's
What
incredible.
else am I gonna do?
I'll put it on my list. I need something new to watch.
Yeah. Do
Hard
that.
out. And the other one by the same dude, David Simon, is The Deuce, which is set in New York in the 70s and 80s in the red light
I
district.
feel like I've seen some of that.
James Franco.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe not.
He plays
He
twin
plays
brothers in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really
well,
good.
I'll put that on my list too.
Yeah. So I think we're nearly up to our hour, but I wanted to finish with something existential because I've been having
Sounds exciting.
I've been
Interesting.
Yeah, I've been having
Worrying.
thoughts. I've been having
Having these thoughts.
yeah. This quarantine has caused.
I'm the one that's in the weed brownie.
Yeah, I know. Well, I hope it's kicking in now because you're gonna need it for
It
this.
is a bit, actually.
Yeah, good.
I was quite relieved when you said we come up to the hour. I was like, fuck, I don't know what's going to happen.
I was at the bench the other day.
The bench.
Yeah, not being a lawyer. Just in my kitchen, and just I don't know why the thought popped into my head, but I was like, do I experience joy? And heavy, eh? And I was like, I had to give it a good think, and I haven't I've stopped thinking about it, but intermittently I've been thinking about experiencing joy throughout the week. So,
Yeah.
and the conclusion I kind of came to was like experiencing joy changes as you age. Dom kind of like talked about it earlier. It's like you stop liking things that you thought you'd like forever and whatever.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you guys your thoughts on experiencing joy, like how you experience joy, what gives you joy, how it evolves and changes.
Oh, I feel like Dom's just gone into the abyss. He's frozen on my screen.
Is it? Oh yeah, he's actually.
Oh no, he's gone.
He's actually dipped out. Well, we thought this might happen.
Yeah, he couldn't handle the conversation about joy.
Yeah, he's too fucking miserable for this.
I feel like joy's like I reckon I like the thing. I was thinking about it the other day. I was sitting out on like my deck in the sun just with both my dogs, and I was like throwing the ball for one of them, and I was like, this is just real nice. Like that was like, that's like my happy place. Yeah, so I could do this for ages. I was doing nothing like major, but it was just like nice and sunny, and there were like all these leaves everywhere, and it looked like nice and autumny, and I was like, yeah, I was like just feeling it. So yeah, probably stuff like that for me more so than like, I don't know, other specific things. But on this like same topic, do you reckon you'll ever feel fulfilled in life? Like that's something that I reckon I'll never feel.
And so which begs another question is, if you feel totally fulfilled, then do you have anything to live for or to do?
Yeah.
Like life needs to be hard, right? It needs to be challenging.
Yeah, like you have to have something to like strive for, like that you want to be doing, like you're working towards. Like that's what. Yeah, but then there was someone, my mate who lives in Spain. She told me, she was like, "You're never living in the moment because you're always just planning for what's going to happen next." And I was like, "Oh, fuck up! Don't tell me stuff like that." I was like, I can't.
Yeah, but like the experience of experiencing joy you just mentioned, that is what that is, right? And I think.
Yeah.
Because when the thought like hit me, I was like, I thought back to being young, and I was like, my joy was centered around like adventure and danger, and just wild like irreverence. Yeah. And my life is like the complete opposite of that now. So then I had to think about it, and I was like, oh, the things that give me joy now are boring, but that's all right, right? Like
yeah. Or like, are they?
Well,
Did they give you joy? Like,
no,
or are they just like boring in the conventional sense?
Yeah. They're boring if I look at them from outside of myself. Like, if I'm judging myself, I'm like, oh, you boring old prick. What about you, Dan?
What about me?
You're gonna have to take Dom's spot.
Joy.
Do you feel joy?
Yeah, not really, to be honest.
Oh shit.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not sad, but like, I'm real bored.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's part of getting older, right? Like,
Yeah, but like you said, all the stuff that I like is like quote unquote boring.
yeah. Yeah, same.
A good sleep.
oh yeah, but a good sleep. That's what I've been fucking loving about lockdown.
Oh
Like,
man.
because I went from having like not a spare minute, I was so busy, to just like, no, you can't do a single thing, and I was like, I'm just gonna sleep. And like for the first week, I'd have like 2 naps a day, and it was so nice.
It's fucking luxurious, right?
Yeah.
If you like on the days, because I've been washing my bedding heaps more. Fuck, this is terrible podcast material. But on the days I wash my bedding, I do it first thing in the morning, hang it out. Obviously, it's a sunny day. Then make the bed early afternoon and then get in it. I'm like, this is the best feeling in the world.
That's joy.
Hell yeah.
That's fucking. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Clean sheets and your own bed. Like I feel like that's probably doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. Well, Dom's died, and I think we've done an hour, so we might. And fuck, I need to piss so bad. But we might let you go, and then we'll try and get Dom back and do our thing. But
Yeah, all good.
thanks so much for
All
coming
right.
on.
Sweet as.
Real nice-
I hope I was an alright guest.
No, you're amazing. Real nice to have a conversation with you too.
Yeah, I know. It's like people that you feel like you know,
Yeah.
but you don't actually know.
Never
it.
actually talked to, eh? Crazy.
Yeah, hard.
Oh, so cool.
All good.
Good luck with elections and
Yeah, I'm sure you'll see me bombarding your Facebook with shit
Yeah.
in the coming months. So.
please. And
Yep.
if we can help you in any way, which we probably can't with our current audience size, then
Oh, Dom's back.
I'm back.
all right,
Oh, fuck, that was stressful.
welcome back, Dom.
Dom, do you feel joy?
Yeah, I was quite stressed. I was like, the internet. This happened last night. I was teaching a fucking writing class. Just cut out. And then I came back in and they were giving each other advice. I was like, calm down, calm down.
Hey, stop it, you fucking idiots. Well,
So what was your thing?
I just wrapped up the whole podcast.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed it.
Oh, well, I guess I could listen to it.
Did you not hear what I was... well, I was just talking about, I guess, the concept of experiencing joy and how it morphs and changes as you age.
True.
Yeah,
The internet working now is quite joyful.
yeah, good.
Seeing Dan's face is always joyful.
Isn't it? He's always in the dark, though. It's a bit shady.
Yeah.
It's because I have my screen down low.
Oh, right.
Do you? Oh, there you go. There's nice skin, Dan.
He doesn't want to
Thanks.
reveal
So
his true
is the
identity.
podcast finished? Are we recording this or what's going on?
Well, this is
Still
still here, so should we
I'm
welcome you?
holding this stupid mic for no reason.
Do you want to say goodbye to Kaya and thank her and say hey, good luck out
Yeah,
there.
no, thank you. That was awesome. That was
Yeah.
really fun podcast.
Yeah, so good.
Cool. Thank you
And
so
should definitely
much for
let us
having me.
know.
Pleasure.
Get you back on closer to the election.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard out. Yeah, this is like my life goals. When Dom messaged me asking me to be on the podcast, I like screenshot it and I sent it to my mate and I was like, 2015 me is screaming. Because I've been listening to your guys' podcast since like way back.
Oh,
And so I was
sick.
like, oh fuck, like I'm cool enough to be on it.
Yeah,
now.
actually, one of the first people that came
Yeah.
up in conversation
Your
about
name was at
guests.
the top of the list.
Yeah,
Oh, I die.
there you go.
Now I'm feeling joy.
Oh, good.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so
All
much.
good. All right. Yeah. Well, you guys have a nice night and
Yeah.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right.
See you later.
Bye.